Good day to all of you watching Agenda. Welcome back to today's program, and thank you for being subscribers of Cignal TV and viewers of One News PH channels 8 and 250. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, welcoming you to the program and thanking all of you who are watching Agenda all over the Philippines, as well as in parts of the United States, Canada, Europe, because as you all know, you can watch us via Facebook.com, One News PH, okay, and also on YouTube. So maraming salamat po. And again, thank you to PLDT, Home Fiber Optic Internet, for keeping us on the air all the time and on a digital platform. Okay, today is May 6, 2022. It's a Friday. And while many might automatically say, thank God it's Friday, well, many of us can feel the tension in the air. Parang yung Phil Collins song, can you feel it? Diba? Anyway, we will go on with today's program by starting with our daily starter. And please pay attention to our daily starter. It is from the author Paulo Coelho, or Coelho. I don't know how to pronounce his family name, but it is a very wise reminder. A mistake repeated more than once is a decision. Okay, I guess the author was referring to human mistakes that, mistake minsan, once. Okay, just once, as in the song. But, if you keep going back, then there is a problem. If you are in a bad relationship, if you have been physically abused, all it should take is just one incident and you move out. You don't go back, okay? You vote for a corrupt official or an official who did not do anything. After that one mistake, you don't vote for them again, okay? You make an investment and it was a mistake. You don't invest again, because if you reinvest, then you're not making a mistake. You are making a decision. You are committing yourself to that. So without politics or anything, no, wala pong kulay. Mistake once, you do it twice, it's a decision. Now let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star for today's news. May 6, 2022. There we go. COMELEC, all systems go. According to the officials of the COMELEC, they're all ready to go. Meanwhile, NAMFREL enlists at least 50,000 poll watchers for the elections come Monday. The Civil Service Commission reminds government workers to file their statements of assets and liabilities net worth, okay? Meanwhile, the PNP has an officer in charge, none other than Lieutenant General Vicente Danao, who has been designated as OIC. Kumbaga, tigabantay ng tindahan, hindi pwedeng pumirma, hindi pwedeng magbigay ng promotion, nothing. He's just a officer in charge or caretaker. At the bottom or the center of that of the front page, you have a photo inside the Philippine National Police Headquarters, where they have their National Election Monitoring Center. Ayan po, pinapakita ng PNP. Modern na rin sila. President Duterte declares May 9, Monday, special non-working holiday para lahat makaboto. That other photo of two men with a package on a bangka, that is a photo from Dagupan, an island barangay in Dagupan City, where they are delivering COMELEC accounting machines. Meanwhile, the Senate has approved rules on canvassing of votes. Inflation spikes to 4.9% in April, highest in 3 years. Yan po, aray ko. And I predict it's going to be even higher after the month of May. Okay. PDP Laban, Nacionalista Party named dominant parties. Although the COMELEC has yet to announce their decision on which part of the PDP Laban is the official PDP Laban. Senator Ping Lacson and Tito Soto to hold their final rally, meeting the Avance in Cavite. Okay, they will go to Cavite and do that for today, sometime today. Meanwhile, we have AC Health. Okay, the Ayala Health Group, health company, receiving an award, okay, for their the integrated ecosystem approach in responding to COVID-19. Ayan po, that's just a scan of the news today. And now we go to our main portion of the program, which are the interviews. And today we are fortunate, we are blessed na pinagbigyan po tayo. As they say, shoot for the moon and you will get the star. You could get the stars, but in this case, I think I got the moon. Okay, I saw his name, his picture. Someone had posted on Facebook about this gentleman who is focusing on internet, who focused on troll farms, etc. Baga, lalim science. I cannot even wrap my mind around it. I will just read it if you don't mind. Okay, because talagang heavy got mga kaibigan. Our first guest today is Jonathan Ong, Associate Professor of the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. He is also the 2022 Andrew Carnegie Fellow. Now, that by itself is impressive enough. A Filipino who makes it that high in the academe in the United States. But this gentleman got my attention because he co-authored a study on the architects of network disinformation. Architects of network disinformation behind the scenes of troll accounts and fake news production in the Philippines. Kumbaga, we all talk and say that there are numerous thousands of troll farms, yung mga gawa-gulo sa Pilipinas on social media. But no one has ever really done a study and, you know, put a magnifying glass to it. So let's bring in our first guest, none other than Associate Professor Jonathan Ong. Welcome to the program, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Sir Cito. It's great to be here. Thank you for your introduction. I'm a huge fan. I've been a huge fan.
I'm flattered, Jonathan. Let's put it on a first name basis. You know, like I said in the intro, I can't wrap my mind around all the work you've done. You know, to put a magnifying glass on troll farms, PR firms, advertising firms, and just laying it on the table and exposing what's going on. Kindly share that with our viewers. How did you get into this? Where did this journey begin?
Yeah, thank you so much, Cito. So this began in 2016. Our study was actually interested in the workers of social media content moderation. So we actually wanted to interview the digital janitors, so the people who are, you know, fighting the trolls from the side of platforms. But these workers signed non-disclosure agreements with Facebook and other platforms. It was hard to interview them. Mm-hmm. So it was actually through our own team pivoting our interest. What if we interview the actual trolls themselves? What if we interview the people who are involved in political campaigns themselves? Part of myself and Jason Cabañas, our research team, parang we were a bit frustrated with the image of the troll as itong bots, as itong mga fake accounts online. We wanted to know who are the people behind them. right? So who are the
Yeah.
people behind them? How are they getting paid? Does anyone even sign up willingly to become a troll? Parang pinangarap ba nila maging troll? And
Mhm.
also, crucially, what are the ethics of doing this? How do these people sleep at night? So those are the questions that motivated our research back in 2016. And that's what we've been doing in our work since then for 2 election cycles now, for 3 election cycles now. Yeah, to be precise.
Yeah, okay. So you went out there, you looked for them. Naglabasan ba yung mga troll? Did they actually come out? Did they actually sit down with you? And what did you discover?
Yeah, so we actually found out that trolls come from unexpected places. So ang imahe natin of the troll, we often think about them working, in a kind of call center arrangement, like a sweatshop, like a digital sweatshop arrangement, taga-copy paste lang sila ng instructions.
Mhm.
Sometimes we also associate them with, political strongholds of Ilocos or Davao. So from our research, we actually discovered that there's many ways to become a troll. You can be doing troll work from within corporate PR firms in Makati, in very lavish and very posh environments. You
Mhm.
can be working for a politician and their staff during an election, and parang medyo sideline gig mo lang yung pagiging troll. And of
Mhm.
course, we wanted to describe, again, our image of the troll, itong medyo parang more middle class, economically precarious kind of background, di ba? Parang they're doing it for the money. But,
Mhm.
who are the head trolls as well? So that's what we talked about in our report, Architects of Network Disinformation. Kaya siya architecture, parang may
Mhm.
hierarchy siya. The people at the top are advertising executives, executives, political consultants working for politicians, and they hold power. So we're
Mga
saying
taong
these.
these are known individuals, Jonathan.
Yeah, so Sito, in a way, there's our research was saying for the people at the top, it's kind of almost like an industry open secret who they
Mhm.
are, but
Mhm.
they're also protected by their politicians, diba? The
Mhm.
politicians who hire them and the politicians na may utang na loob to the people who got them elected. So
Mhm.
sometimes over the past 6 years, we've been hearing some of their names come up in Senate hearings. We've been hearing some of their names in Senate investigations. But the argument that we make in our report is we're still often too focused on the low level worker, on the low level troll operator, on the influencer level rather
Yeah,
than the people at the
because
top.
sorry, na pumapasok lang ako kasi in the past, and I confirm what you're saying, because many of us have always had the impression trolls are independent operators. Kumbaga parang mercenaries, digital mercenaries, vloggers who are paid to come up with articles. But when I saw the materials written about you and what you do, I was shocked to find out na industry level na pala ito. Kumbaga sa amin sa sabong, hindi na ito backyard sabong, talagang parang online sabong na ito. It's a billion-peso event. So going back to this troll thing, these are set networks, structures, organizations. They're not yung sabi mo nga house work from home operators.
Yes, Sito. So, there are some operations na parang individual or parang at the very low level, they
Mhm.
might be just doing it with paid like on a weekly basis. We had
Yeah.
examples of that, and our study found examples. Na some of them are doing it on a weekly basis lang, and parang on a weekly contract.
Mhm.
Some of them 3 months contracts, some of them 6 months. But the common contract arrangement for trolls is that trolling is a sideline gig. So that
Okay.
was one of our surprises. So most of the workers, the people who are actually crafting the memes, itong mga smear attacks online, who are maintaining influencer pages and parody accounts, and then creating attack messages for their political clients. This is just one aspect of their job. They're usually juggling other accounts as well. So some of them, their day job, they're actually consulting for a shampoo brand or a soft drink brand, and then politician sideline lang niya. So the
Okay.
argument we make, Cito, is nobody is a full-time troll. It's a sideline gig, and that enables some of these workers to survive. Right?
The question,
mhm.
Jonathan, is this: do these people have the conviction behind their work? Meaning,
Yeah.
you know, like me, if I write a column or I put Jonathan Ong on my program, I have conviction, I have principles, I have an agenda. That's why the program is called Agenda. But what about these trolls? Ito ba, trabaho lang, walang personalan?
Wow, that's a good question. Two answers. It depends on the workers. Most of the time, and at the very bottom of the hierarchy, the low-level worker. So if I may plug as well, our report, our study has a podcast version, and it's called Catch Me If You Can, and it's available on Apple, on Spotify, and Google. And it is actually a co-production with journalist Kat Ventura, where we interview and share with you our interviews with the trolls. So you get to hear from them in their own words, tell us how they got into it. So for the people at the bottom of the hierarchy, and episode 1 is an example of this, where we interviewed Danny. So for him, he was actually deceived into becoming a troll.
Are you serious?
He was applying for he's a fresh college graduate from one of the top universities in Manila. He signed up to become a PR associate. That was the title that he applied for. Obviously, he's not gonna look for a job, wanted troll, right? So he was applying to be a PR associate, and all the time during the interviews, he thought it was going to be a corporate account. And then day 1 on the job, ay mayor pala yung kliyente niya. So in that process, he was telling us, how can he say no? It's paying him well. It's paying him 15,000 a month. Some of his other job applications did not work out. So trabaho lang muna at the beginning. And it was only through the process of working in the campaigns, his conscience started bugging him. That's when he started to also, reflect na parang, hey, this doesn't feel right as well. And at some point, he quit the job.
Okay, so it is not necessarily, kasi marami sa atin, many of us have the impression that if there is a bot or a troll, well, actually a troll, because bots are electromechanical, they're not real people. But as far as trolls are concerned, we have the impression that these are, followers,
Yes.
People who really just want to go there and spew hate. But as you pointed out, lumalabas trabaho lang. Now, Professor, we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, I'd like to ask you more or give you more time to explain to us the workings of this troll and the network. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and I've already introduced our guest earlier, none other than Dr. and Associate Professor Jonathan Ong. I just want to put context to his background for those of you na magsasabing napakabata naman yung bisita ni Kuya Cito. He completed his Master's of Science degree in Politics and Communication at the London School of Economics, and his doctorate degree in sociology at the University of Cambridge. Okay, he worked in public relations. Well, I don't. Is it public relations? But he is one of 28 scholars selected from among 300 applicants nominated by the respective institutions. He was awarded with a $200,000 stipend for the said endeavor, and he is also a research fellow for Shorenstein Center at Harvard Kennedy School. Kumbaga, ito pong bisita natin, hindi pichi-pichi, hindi po fake news to, may multiple degrees. But anyway, Dr. Ong or Jonathan, if I may, can we go back to your studies? You know, many of us do research. I've done some investigative journalism in the past. Now, at the end of the day, there is a message or a lesson we want to share with our audience, learnings that we want to pass on to the public. In your situation or in your experience, what are these discoveries and learnings that you believe Filipinos and people all over the world need to know?
Yes, thank you for saying that, Cito, and giving me this opportunity. So I think one story that we're trying to tell in the study and also in the podcast, Catch Me If You Can, is trolls are also human beings. They are ordinary people who are operating these accounts. Some of them come from economically modest backgrounds who are doing it just for the money, just doing it. As you say, trabaho lang to for some of them. However, we tend to also, stereotype them na parang baka DDS sila, baka masa, baka bobotante. Parang nakahalo-halo ito dun sa imahe ng pagiging troll. But in our work, what we found is that trolls come from anywhere. They can be your college classmate. They can be your student. Yeah, for me, I'm a professor. So they can be my college students. And I tell, when I do lectures over Zoom, talk to students in the Philippines, I tell them, uy, kayo yung likely na i-recruit to become a troll. But the job ad will not be wanted troll or hiring troll. The job ad will be hiring PR associate, hiring social media community manager. So a part of this is educating young people, college graduates, to understand where they're going into and the organizations, especially creative industries, nasasalihan nila. And we need to empower our young people to also talk about the conditions in the creative industries, to call out unethical practice within industries. And I think there needs to be more transparency as to how campaigns are run. Dahil as you know, Cito, and nakikita natin for the 2022 elections, ang dumi ng pamamalakad ng kampanya. We often blame, this stereotype image of the troll for the tenor and the tone of the campaigns, but we haven't really understood this is a profitable industry.
So is it safe to say, Jonathan, that troll farms, by and large, are not, nondescript, unknown individuals just put together by social media, but are actually here in the Philippines organized businesses, establishments, institutions, as you pointed out, PR firms and ad agencies. Karamihan ba talaga ad agency, political bureau, and PR agencies?
Yeah, so the work model that is most common in the Philippines is the PR firm model, the boutique PR firm that runs campaigns for politicians. And this becomes, especially super lucrative during an election cycle.
Okay.
So, yeah, and kailangan natin to i-regulate, Cito. Parang a corporate campaign for a Coca-Cola is not the same as a political campaign, especially in terms of the quality of the political discussion na nangyayari ngayon. And we see how dirty it has become. There's a lot of hate speech online, red tagging, and a lot of this is coordinated strategically. Hindi lang ito gawa-gawa ng iba't ibang individuals, but coordinated strategically.
Okay, now, is there any effort or you were talking about we have to empower, educate the young people regarding the misrepresentation, the unprofessionalism in recruitment na mapepeke sila. But do the young people or do these trolls even have an idea of the impact they make in terms of the mental damage, the political damage, the social damage that they cause on people and society?
Yes. And again, Cito, this depends on the kinds of people, the different workers that we interviewed. And our study, our podcast retells different kinds of people. So one, yung isa may konsyensya dun sa episode 1. Nag-quit siya nung trabaho niya, Cito, dahil nakita daw niya yung professor niya sa isang campaign sortie, and nakita siya nung professor niya, katabi niya si mayor. And parang feel niya na gets nung professor niya. And nahiya siya na parang, he sees me working with this dirty politician, known for the kind of campaign that happened. However, we also had examples, especially for the people at the top. Itong mga PR strategists at the top, the political campaigners, for some of them, this is fun. This is fun for them. This is just a game. So they will sign up to work for a politician dahil, I want a challenge. So that's their motivation.
Is it really all about the challenge, or is it because they are paid millions upon millions?
And of course.
Because, yes, Jonathan.
Yes. And of course, syempre, sila yung pinaka-kumikita, the people at the top. And again, na-mention pa minsan yung mga pangalan nila, pero mahirap talaga sila to hold accountable. And I think that requires a lot of creativity. A part of it, as you know, Cito, is the work of fact-checkers, the work of platforms, of trying to take down accounts and networks of accounts that seem to be coordinated, and one can attribute them to a particular PR firm. We've heard examples of that over the years. Pero yung sistema, yung structure, yung industriya, hindi pa rin natin nauunawaan ng maayos.
Well, I have a feeling you're going to be invited to the next Senate hearings because
Cito, I've been invited many times, but again, the tendency is they blame the low-level troll. The senators would love to, let's shame this influencer. Let's shame the anonymous account. That's the easy target.
What would you do? What would you do if you had the means and the power and the influence to put this house in order, so to speak?
Wow. Thank you for that question, Cito. So for us, I think it is about transparency and accountability. So can we actually create more transparency measures? So not so much about penalties or censorship, Cito. I think we know in the Philippines, we have such a very painful and traumatic history under martial law, and we've seen the horrors of censorship. So any law that will really censor speech is very and top-down legislation that will censor speech is very, very dangerous. Kaya ang efforts namin is to create transparency mechanisms around campaigns to compel politicians to name the PR firms, the strategists, the influencers that they work with and that they pay for. So currently, yung mga campaign finance regulation, binibilang yung binabayad nila for advertising but not for influencer marketing and itong pagbayad sa mga PR firms. So yun yung ginagawa namin.
Which should all
and
be
I work-
part of the accounting with the COMELEC.
Exactly. Yeah. And folks like Ona Caritos of Lente, a civil society election integrity group, have also been trying to advance codes of ethics for advertising and PR firms to bring them together.
Professor, I can't figure this out. I know trolls is a reality, but is it legal given the nature of what trolls are supposed to do? Is it legal? I mean, it is a social media monster designed to attack other people. Now, I mean, in free speech, that's, freedom of speech, that's one thing. You and I can argue until the cows come home. But trolls by themselves, should they be outlawed?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I'll go to depends on how you define trolls. I think when it comes to expressions which are very hateful, diba? Parang if you cross the line for hateful speech, I think that obviously we can look at different kinds of content guidelines that will empower platforms to take down hateful speech. At the same time, very quickly, freedom of speech is not the same as freedom of reach. So platforms should be, suppressing the ability of influencers, of fake accounts to reach broad communities. So pwede nilang babaan yung reach ng certain posts. So freedom of speech is not the same as freedom of reach.
Okay, we'll go for a quick break, one last break, and when we return, I want to ask you quickly about platforms and their responsibilities, and should the Philippines flex its muscle to require these platforms to discipline their communities. We'll be right back here on Agenda.
Like a professional troll and an unprofessional troll to this?
That's a good question. So, political fans are being activated by the paid operators, diba? So, in the hierarchy of people who are being paid in the disinformation architecture, ang job naman talaga nila is to provide the narratives, to provide the content of what people will be talking about, what ordinary people will be talking about, and what real political fans will talk about. So, yung pag-seed ng memes, parang sila yung gagawa ng memes, but obviously, they will depend on the real fans who are supporters of their clients, kahit hindi binabayaran, to play with those memes, to play with those narratives, to add to the conspiracy.
Welcome back to the program agenda. Okay, Professor John, you were talking about platforms, reach, breach, etc. Now, we will have a new election by the end, new election, new president by the end of the month, I presume. And what are your concerns relative to this? Kasi honestly, no, many of us in the media, mainstream media, are thinking, what will our lives be under the next administration? Will it be like the Marcos years, or will it be a new dispensation that we will have to come to get to know better as we go? Now, for social media, digital platforms, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's those are valid concerns and fears and anxieties, diba? Under the Duterte presidency, we have different global research think tanks that have tracked itong free speech environment sa Philippines. They have seen it do a backsliding. So it's less robust than before because of how different media institutions have been targeted. The largest broadcast network has been shut down. So it's important to speculate and think about what to expect under a Marcos presidency for mainstream media, for fact checkers, also for platforms. So, are we still able to practice, free speech and express political dissent? So, I think it's important to think na Marcos is a real beneficiary of social media. So his ability to rehabilitate the Marcos brand happened because of social media networks. So because of his investment in YouTube channels, TikTokers, Facebook groups, etc. over the years. So parang whether he will be fully antagonistic with social media, I don't think so, because beneficiary siya ng most of social media.
Mhm.
However, I can see how social media might be targeted insofar as he sees Facebook, Google supporting fact checkers, also supporting mainstream media. May iba't ibang mechanism ang Facebook at Google na nagbibigay sila ng pondo sa mga local fact checkers. And Marcos has said that he has been a victim of fact checkers. He has been a victim of mainstream media. So ito ang aking prediction under the next years. I think his main target will still be mainstream media and fact checkers, and dun lang masasabit ang social media platforms kung may bias sila for them.
Okay, kung mananalo si BBM, mamimili ang mainstream media and fact checkers, laban o layas. Okay, anyway, Professor John, I hope to God, I pray to the Lord that this won't be our last engagement, because you present a very important, very educational discussion and issue for all Filipinos and people all over the world to consider how we can manage social media, digital platforms, so that they become useful and beneficial and not destructive. Thank you very much, Professor Jonathan.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, that's Professor Jonathan Ong, Andrew Carnegie Fellow 2022, Associate Professor of the University of Massachusetts, and one exceptional Filipino in the academe. Okay, now tuloy naman po tayo sa isa namang abogado. He has been holding up the lamp, the torch for Senator Leila de Lima, who continues to be under detention, Attorney Dino de Leon. Attorney, good morning, sir. Attorney de Leon, good morning.
Good morning,
Okay.
Cito, and to all our viewers.
Okay, kamusta na ba? What is the situation? Because when I read the news this morning, former DOJ Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre has said that dadami pa raw yung mga mag-aatrasan at tinatarget na umatras na testigo laban kay Senator De Lima. What's the situation on the ground, Attorney?
Well, let's remember na ang nasa kapangyarihan ngayon ay si Pangulong Duterte pa rin at sila pa rin naman nasa kapangyarihan yung nanila kay Senator Leila de Lima. So kung sa tingin ni Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre, mas marami pang mag-aatrasan, mukhang hindi talaga airtight yung case nila at talaga nga naman lalabas at lalabas ang katotohanan. So that's good news for us, and Secretary Aguirre is now conceding na indeed hindi maganda yung hold nila sa mga witnesses kasi puro kasinungalingan naman at gawa-gawa ang kaso ng gobyerno na ito laban kay Senator Leila de Lima sa pangunguna mismo ni Secretary Aguirre as stated in the affidavit of Rafael Ramos.
There is an insinuation na tinatrabaho. Kumbaga pinalalabas o parang pahapyaw na tinatrabaho daw kasi ng grupo ni Senator Leila de Lima yung mga witnesses na umatras na. So and the timing has been intentional so that Senator De Lima will get sympathy votes come Monday.
Siguro wag na kaming idamay ni Secretary Aguirre sa mga gawain niya na nagtatrabaho ng kung ano-ano. No? And to begin with, si Senator De Lima nakakulong. Wala siyang kahit na anong hawak sa mga witnesses. As compared to sa ginawa nila Secretary Aguirre nung siya pa ay Secretary of Justice, si Peter Ko, pinagsasaksak 3 days or 4 days before he was forced to testify sa House of Representatives. Si Kerwin Espinosa, sinabi niya mismo, tinakot siya at kanyang pamilya at kakapatay lang ng tatay niya 2 to 3 weeks before he was forced to testify. Ang sabi rin ni Rafael Ragos, tinakot siya at ang kanyang pamilya. So ano na mga pananakot na gagawin ni Senator Leila de Lima na nakakulong na sa mga oras na ito? Kung sakaling magbaliktaran ng iba pa mga witnesses, it's only because they want to tell the truth and nothing more. So kung si Senator Aguirre ang gawain niya, tinatrabaho ang mga witnesses, wag niya na kaming idamay kasi hindi kami katulad nila na kung anong klase ang pag-aabogado, ganyang mag-manufacture ng mga evidence, magtrabaho ng mga witnesses. Hindi po ganyang klase ang kampo ni Senator Leila de Lima. Matagal na sanang ginawa yan. Kung pwede pa, hindi na sana nag-antay ng 5 taon. So yung gawain nila sa kanila na lang.
Okay, Attorney, the question is, after everything is said and done, makakalabas ba si Leila de Lima? Will the good senator be released? How soon do you think this is going to happen? Or can we expect Leila de Lima to stay in jail until the last day of the Duterte administration?
You know, Cito, we continue to be very hopeful, no? Pero kung mapapansin mo, simula pa lang, hindi na dapat ito nangyari. Kung to begin with, if our institutions are very strong, our belief is hindi dapat talaga nakulong si Leila de Lima dahil wala namang probable cause. In fact, even the Supreme Court was divided at that point in time kung ano ba talaga ang kaso kay Senator Leila de Lima. Ito lang ang kaso sa Pilipinas ng droga na walang droga na ipinakita. Walang trail of money kahit na drug trading. Ang meron lang, laway lang ng mga incredible witnesses na binibili naman ng mga korte kahit na wala naman silang kredibilidad. Ngayon, mismo yung mga walang kredibilidad na witness, sinasabi, pinwersa sila, pinilit sila. And hindi talaga nila gusto at nagsasorry pa kay Senator Leila de Lima. Sana makawala na si Senator Leila de Lima at as soon as possible time. But given the attitude and the vileness of this administration, of course, they will exert everything in their power to stop Leila de Lima from being free. Precisely because they know na si Senator Leila de Lima has always been straight right from the very start. And ang gagawin niya ang tama, and they can't afford the likes of Senator Leila de Lima out of jail precisely because Senator de Lima will always hold into account those who abuse power.
Okay, now the question that's on many people's mind is kasi sabi ng mga fiscal prosecutors na yung mga nag-atrasang mga testigo ay inconsequential or not related to the cases filed against Senator De Lima. Nagtataka ko, saan sila kinuwang witness? Anong kaso yung kanilang pinagtestigo, etc. Parang nalito tuloy kami.
Ang mahirap kasi sa Department of Justice sa mga oras na ito, kasi kabilang na dyan yung panel of prosecutors na dawit sila ni Rafael Ragos. Sinabi mismo ni Rafael Ragos sinabi niya sa panel of prosecutors na hindi totoo yung kanyang mga sinasabi at they can't expect him to actually manufacture foolproof lies. Yan ang nakalagay sa judicial affidavit ni Rafael Ragos nung nag-recant siya. Ngayon, sinasabi nila si Kerwin Espinosa, hindi raw vital witness doon sa mga cases. Okay, pero si Kerwin Espinosa ay ginamit na isa bang palabas doon sa investigation ng House of Representatives. Pero nung sinabi nila si Kerwin Espinosa, hindi naman daw witness sa kaso, itong si Rafael Ragos, ang star witness nila sa criminal case 165. In fact, ito ang sinight na testimony ng korte, kaya dinanay ang aming demurrer to evidence doon. Kung maalala mo, Cito, sa criminal case 165 na dismiss na yan, 166 na dismiss na yan, binan ang aming demurrer to evidence. Sabay naming pinasa yung demurrer to evidence namin sa criminal case 166. Sa criminal case 166, yung judge sinabi, hindi magtutuloy pa rin ang kaso at ang sinight na kaso na basis is yung testimonya ni Rafael Ragos at Vito Hablen. So, ibig sabihin nito, the DOJ cannot deny na star witness nila ito at ito ang pinaka-importanting piece of evidence nila na, at nagfa-falter na yung kanilang tower of lies. No? They've manufactured evidence, ang daming dinawit ni Rafael Ragos, lawyers from PAO. No? Kung nabasa mo at maalala mo, no? Hindi lang si DOJ Secretary Aguirre na alter ego ng presidente ang dinawit ni Ragos na namilit sa kanya. Kasama rin dyan si NBI Intelligence Director Dante Gueran. Kasama rin dyan si NBI Deputy Director Rachel Angeles and Vicente de Guzman. Kasama rin dyan yung mga PAO lawyers na si Rigel Salvador and Demi Huerta at yung buong prosecution panel mismo nakakaalam nitong greatest frame-up in history na ito. So marami silang pananagutan. Nasanay naman yata na sila magsisinungaling. Kaya yata puro kasinungalingan pa rin pinopropagate nila, including saying na yung testimonya ni Ragos hindi vital, napaka-vital ito sa kanilang kaso.
What about Ragos? Because after listening to everything you've said, okay, essentially Ragos withdrawing his testimony and accusing everyone from secretary, former secretary down to public attorney's office of conspiracy and for perjury, conspiracy, etc., etc. Parang it's a condemnation of the entire justice system that is riding on the shoulders of one man. Is this Rafael Ragos being protected, being kept secure and ensured that he remains alive? Kasi baka mamaya mukha mo isang araw bigla na lang na inatake sa puso yan na hindi ninyo maintindihan.
Well, yun nga yung nakakalungkot dyan kasi yung kliyente namin nakakulong, no? And they're the ones in power right now. So you have to give it to Rafael Ragos and Kerwin Espinosa. Kerwin Espinosa is under the custody of the executive branch of government. Si Rafael Ragos is a civilian at this point in time. Pero they are telling the truth. Kaya ako sinasabi nilang tinatrabaho ni Senator Leila de Lima ito, ano ang mapapala ng mga witnesses na ito at this point in time kung hindi sabihin lang katotohanan dahil kinukonsensya na sila. No? It's so sad. This conspiracy against Senator Leila de Lima. The sad part is so many officials from the highest echelons of our government and from agencies tasked to defend the law have allowed themselves to actually be used in the perpetration of this gross injustice. Lawyers from DOJ, lawyers from the PAO and the NBI, and they went against their sworn mandates, no? Nagpagamit sila siguro dahil lang sa kanilang mga ambisyon at nakakalungkot ito, no? Kailangan managot sila, binaboy nila ang ating sistemang legal, niyurakan nila ang ating mga institutions, they disrespected our justice system and made a mockery out of our courts, they gamified people's lives and in fact our own legal system and the court processes. Nilaro nila ang sistemang legal na para bang na para bang laruan lamang at sinira nila isang buhay ng isang tao, no? They shouldn't be allowed to actually remain in service and to actually remain as officers of the court, and they should be disciplined accordingly. Hindi pwedeng ganito yung mga klaseng tao na meron tayo dito.
Medyo cambio muna tayo, attorney, kasi tanong ko naman sa inyo, it's the last 3 days of the campaign. Actually, by Sunday, dapat wala ng campaign. Pero how has Senator De Lima conducted her re-election campaign? Parang ang hirap yata isipin. Para na siyang si Ninoy Aquino na nagkakampanya nung nakakulong nun sa Port Bonifacio.
Well, napakahirap, Cito. Kitang-kita mo naman, no? Siniraan siya, niyurakan siya using the entire machinery of the state and the awesome powers of the state, no? For the last 5 years, including the presidential pulpit. Ano pa nga, sinasabi nga namin, subsidized ang paninira kay Senator Leila de Lima kasi ginawa yan sa House of Representatives. Bilyon ng ginastos ng gobyerno dito, pagkain nila, kuryente nila, aircon nila, papel nila, sweldo ng mga staff nila, para lang siraan si Leila de Lima. And what we have right now in her campaign is potentially us volunteers. I myself is a volunteer for Senator Leila de Lima's campaign. No, I come up to the stage, and it's a tall order to potentially reverse 6 years of massive indoctrination sa utak ng tao na masama, maduming babae, si Senator Leila de Lima. In-indoctrinate yung mga tao at ang daming resources ang ginugol dito tapos bibigyan lang tayo ng 4 minutes, 5 minutes to potentially reverse that in the minds of the people. Pero alam mo, Cito, right from the start, Senator Leila de Lima continued her fight because she believes in the Filipino people. In the same manner that Vice President Leonel Robredo is continuing her fight despite the odds, no? It's precisely because we believe in our people. And ultimately, whatever happens, we will have to continue believing in our people because it's our people, and it is the only country that we have, and we have to constantly fight for it. So whatever happens, even if the struggle is steep, Senator Leila de Lima will continue the fight, and us volunteers who are fighting with her will stand by with her and will fight for our democracy whenever happens.
Okay, I've heard a campaign plug of Senator Leila de Lima on radio, pero I had the impression na parang naging cut and paste lang at hindi actual recording in the detention center. Wala pa ako nakikitang TV ad or social media ad ni Leila de Lima. I mean, she's still innocent, presumed innocent until guilty, pero pinagbabawalan ba siya na magawa ng audio recording or video recording at the detention center?
Pinayagan lang siya isang beses, no, for election of purposes, pero hindi siya pinayagan afterwards. Noong December pa ito, no. Very restricted sa Senator Leila de Lima, wala siyang kahit anong gadgets and all, no. Nagtataka siguro ba't wala kaming media TV ad kasi walang pera si Senator Leila de Lima, hindi naman siya nagpayaman sa gobyerno, allergic naman ang mga donors sa kanya kasi baka ipitin sila ng gobyerno afterwards, no. So we are just working on the limited resources that we have, including from regular citizens na nagdo-donate ng pa 1,000, padala 2,000, malaki ng 10,000, 5,000, no? Ang hirap din ng sitwasyon ng Senator Leila de Lima. But again, as I've already mentioned, her spirit remains to be intact. Her spirit remains to be indomitable. In the last 5 years, nagpapasko siya mag-isa sa loob ng kulungan pero patuloy pa rin ang kanyang laban. Ang hirap, and this probably is the most difficult campaign ever. Wala pa siguro yung ginamit yung entire machinery of the state para yurakan at palabasin na madumi ang isang tao, no? At free-name up, no? And yan yung pinagdadaanan ng Senator Leila de Lima ngayon. Pero patuloy laban. Tumataas naman kami sa surveys ito. And we are happy where we are right now, considering na siniraan at niyurakan si Senator Leila de Lima ng administrasyon nito, no? At ang sinasabi lagi ni Senator Leila de Lima, there will be a day of reckoning for all these individuals who authored her political persecution, no? Ang sabi nga ni Senator de Lima, nakakatawa Cito, sa interview sa CNN, what changed for Senator Leila de Lima? Ang sabi niya, I think I've already mellowed. Sabi niya, for the last 5 years, I've mellowed. Ang hirap din ng tao dito, dito sa kulungan, sitwasyon, kausap niya mga pusay, mga plans niya. Sabi ko nga, nagpapasko siya mag-isa dyan, mag-aantay ng New Year's Eve. She has mellowed daw. Pero at the end of the interview, sinabi niya, what is your message for the President? There will be a day of reckoning, Mr. President. Nag-mellow pa yung Leila de Lima na yan. Kaya matatawa ka rin. Talagang matapang to si Senator Leila de Lima.
Thank you very much, Attorney Dino de Leon, and we hope that everything that the Senator de Lima aspires for will be blessed by the Lord. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Cito. Gusto ko lang sabihin sa ating mga kababayan ng muli na sana huwag natin kalimutan yung pagdasal. Si Senator Leila de Lima, hindi po madali ang kanyang pinagdadaanan at napakahirap talaga. Ang lagi niya lang hawak pagka nandun siya yung wooden crucifix na nakikita ko.
Okay, we join you there. That's Attorney Dino de Leon, representative.
Huwag natin siya kalimutan yung pagdasal at huwag natin kalimutan.
Okay, oops, nag-rewind nag-rewind yung audio natin.
Maraming salamat, Cito.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that's Attorney Dino de Leon, counsel of Senator Leila de Lima and stand-in campaigner. Okay, pagdasal niyo po siya kasi mahirap po yung nakakulong na ganon ng 5 taon ni hindi mo alam kung meron ba talagang hustisya o wala, etc. Now, I leave you with our final blessing or reminder for this week. From the book of Proverbs chapter 6 verses 16 to 19. There are 6 things that the Lord hates. Mga ikinagagalit ng Panginoon. 7 that are an abomination to Him. Nakasuklam-suklam sa Kanya. Haughty eyes, mataray, nanlilisik, matapobring mga mata. A lying tongue, kasinungalingan. Hands that shed innocent blood, mamamatay tao. A heart that devises wicked plans, puso na puno ng mga masamang balakin. Feet that make haste to run to evil, paang mga nagmamadaling paggumawa ng kasamaan. A false witness who breathe out lies, mga trolls, hindi po, mga nagbibigay ng mga di totoong mga lathala, mga kasinungalingan o mga bintang. And one who sows discord among brothers. One who sows discord among brothers ay yung mga taong pinaghahati ang mga magkakapatid, magkababayan, etc. Okay, ito po, yung ating isang viewer, pahabol lang, trolls are like advertising firms peddling half-truth or outright lies to the public. Open lang ang advertisers at nagbabayad ng tax. Okay, yan po from our viewer, Mr. Debesa. Okay, that's all for this week. I leave you with a prayer that you would have a wise and restful weekend, a weekend spent on reflection. Pagdating po ng Lunes, boboto tayo ng bagong Pangulo, ikalawang Pangulo at mga senador. Hindi po tayo nagboboto ng personalidad. Ang binoboto po natin ay ang ating kinabukasan at kinabukasan ng ating mga anak at mga apo. Hindi po ito tungkol sa kulay, hindi po ito tungkol sa politika. Ito po yung ating kinabukasan. Kung boboto po kayo, tanungin niyo ang Panginoon, Lord, sino ba talaga ang dapat kong iboto? God bless all of you. That's all for today's agenda. Please keep it here on One News PH.